PySpark, Hive, HPs, then shifted to Azure Stack, wherein I worked on like Databricks, Azure Synapse, and Azure Data Factory, and also ADLS too, wherein the data resides. So yeah, coming to my current project or module, what I would say is like it's a data migration on the whole. We are currently pushing the data from on-premise to cloud. I mean, it's a ongoing activity, so we are doing the incremental as well as the truncate model activities daily. So wherein we have created a framework wherein it will try to get the metadata from all the table from the source side and create a JSON file after that, and then push the data to the cloud wherein we keep the data in 4 layers: raw, then landing raw, then historical, then harvested and published, so that only till harvest is the defined layer wherein the data resides for reporting as well as other downstream purpose. Apart from if there is any use for third party vendors if they wanted to check on the data, so that's where we give it as the published data container only with the private endpoints enabled, so that only that vendor can be able to access that data. Yeah, that's about the current project. Sorry.
Okay, thanks. You said you have 4 layers of data, 4 or 5, right?
Yeah.
Can you explain the difference between each?
Sure. So coming to that, what we have segregated was like whatever the data we get from the on-premise, we'll be dumping it at the landing layer, so that I mean the first layer of the cloud contact with the landing layer. If at all if there is any issues, we have to pass it out there, or else if there are no issues, then we pass the data and as the whole, the dump to the raw layer where the actual conversion takes place from, let it be CSV file or a database data. It converts into a normal Parquet file, wherein the transformations, basic transformations include like creating a table out of that original CSV file, or else creating the data from the, a Parquet file from the data of the SQL. So after that, the data is being pushed to the historical layer, where the data is being presented as the what we say as a partition data with basically the daily load activity kind of thing, so that the day-to-day activities are being constructed in a partition data. So when the data is presented as the historical layer, now the actual transformation takes place for the harvester. If at all, let's suppose we had a small model wherein we called it as early warning signals. What we used to do is like, in our project, it was a hardship related data for a bank. So if at all, if a consumer or let's say customer is not paying the loans, on time, so what we used to do, there would be a flag called as hardship flag. It would be tagged to the customer coming from the source. So after that, when it reaches to the historical layer, till the raw layer, we tag those customers to another what we say as a warning signal flag, and generate different calculated columns, and from there this data goes into the refined layer, which is the harvested layer. So this is basically, they take it for machine learning data, the data which we give it, and sometimes it goes on to the reports for further processing.
Okay. Are all these maintained in Databricks or outside Databricks?
I would say they are maintained in ADLS Gen 2. Sorry.
Okay. Are these delta tables or not delta tables?
Till historical layer, they are not delta tables. After, from the harvest layer, that we call it as, it's a delta table. So I would keep it as silver layer. Yeah.
Any reason why your bronze raw and historical layer is
different,
not
right?
delta? That's not
Yeah.
understood.
So basically, what was the present assumption was like, till historical layer we would be bringing the data as is, but the data model would be converting the actual data into Parquet files. That was the initial assumption, that till the historical layer we would be bringing the data as a Parquet table or as Parquet file. So any conversion or any calculations or any transformations we have to take, we are doing it at the harvest layer. So that we used to take it forward at the delta level. So that was the initial assumption. Yeah.
No. See, you being a data engineer or a data architect, so think from that perspective. What is the difference? You create just a Parquet file with a delta table.
I didn't get it.
You already have files in the format of Parquet in the historic layer.
Yeah.
Why is it not converted or just tagged as a delta table?
Okay, why is it not converted, right? So our data model was designed in such a way that we wanted to consume it after the initial creation of Parquet files, so that there is no, how would I say, uh, uh, it is a source of truth. On the cloud side, it is a source of truth for us, because the previous files, right, the landing and the raw, we would be removing them, because it's a, they are duplicating basically. When we dump the data, they are just files, and then again we are putting it as Parquet, then again they are also files. So they are duplicating itself. So we are removing the data from the raw and the land container. So only source of truth at the cloud side would be the historical container. So that's where we did not touch that, and just created another container wherein our delta tables would be, whatever operations we wanted, we would take in care like that.
Okay. So how will you debug if there is any issue in the data?
Okay. If there is any issue in the data, meaning one is we go through the what we say, the Java thread dump, basically, which is in the Spark UI Explorer. When we click at the Spark's task view and all, so that is one thing. Apart from that, at the task level, if we see there are any tasks which are not moving, then we can come to point wherein what tasks are not working, and then look at it. So basically, if I would say, if there are any issues with the source data only, we would see errors like not able to read the data, or else the initial the key strings which were given, they were false, and it was not able to connect to the ADLS container itself. So those are the initial things which we see. But specifically, if we talk about the data, yeah, we could see there only at the thread appearances window only, or the Spark UI.
Okay. So you mentioned we have worked on control and purposes.
Yeah.
Is it for Databricks job?
No.
Outside Databricks.
Outside Databricks. Previously, it was an on-premise, so that's where we had scheduled orders and controlling jobs.
Okay. Okay, so let me give you a scenario. I want to design a solution for it. Okay, I have a mainframe, LIC database, assuming it's DB2 compatible. Okay, so we can read the data using DB2 drivers or AS4 drivers. Okay. Now I have an ADF available with me, blob available with me, Databricks available with me, and maybe if you want, Logic app is also available with me, and Azure SQL Server is available with me. I want you to design a flow where I want data in my Databricks server layer. So how will you design it?
So the data is in the what you call DB2, or else you were saying something that I didn't. Okay.
Yes,
Okay. The mainframe, right? Sorry. So.
Yeah.
One is a tactical solution that is bringing through Informatica, then dumping it, using the normal mapping, and that is one.
Yeah. Sorry. Clean legacy
clients
are tools.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
and
just ADF. So we have
ADF, Databricks, block, and if you need Azure SQL or on-prem SQL, okay. I want to move away from on-prem, so that's why I have Azure SQL. Okay, that's a note there. And if you want, you can have logic apps or any other cloud-based solutions or services. Okay.
Yeah. As of now, what we have seen is like we are consuming the AWS 400 files using the COBOL package in the I would say for the ADF or Azure Databricks PySpark thing. So if I go with that solution, then I would make a pipeline in this way. Like we would be having files at some SharePoint, any window or else a unique share drive. From there we get the files. So before getting the files, we would be using the lookup activity, then get the files which are available at that location, then process those files into the cloud side or else the container. From there, when we get the files using, let's say we have ADF, and in that we have the any Synapse PySpark as well as the Databricks PySpark. We can just use the COBOL PySpark package and then try to read the files and then use any transformations if available and push it forward to the different this thing. This is at the overview level. So yeah, coming to the actual pipeline, what would be having is files at the shared drive. We would be having a lookup activity which would get the file location from the file shared drive, and then from there we push the files into using. I mean, there are multiple files, so it would be the lookup will be getting it as a JSON activity. So that we would be pushing it inside the for each activity. Inside that we would be having another pipeline wherein it will say that so and so file with so and so details has come. Then for that we have a notebook which would be a database notebook or else another Synapse notebook. It will try to consume those files with the base parameters involved, and then use the calculations and then push it to another container or else create another table per se. And if at all there is any issues or error handling which needs to be taking place, we will be having it at the inside the for each before the for each there will be an audit section where it will try to audit if the file has come and it's meeting the file pattern and all those conditions. After that, after the pipeline consumes, we will be having a closing session audit where it will update if there is a failure or if there is a success inside. So after that, the activity will close. So that's why I see the present pipeline. So
yeah, okay, good. Okay, if I want to take the ADF out of this solution, will you be able to design it?
You don't want Synapse and ADF as well, right?
Yes, yeah, both. Okay. Synapse and ADF out of.
We haven't designed in such a way, but so what I can do is if there are any workarounds I can try, like instead of getting the files, I'll pull the data directly to a database. Let's say, as you said, it's compatible to a DB2 database. So I'll push that data files to the DB2 and compile it into a table format. So from there, what I can do is using the the Unity catalog, I can connect to the federated databases, and that I would connect to these tables directly. And anyway, these are there, so I can just create the tables over on top of the DB2 tables. I mean, create a delta table. So that is one way. The other way would be I can think of logic apps, but I haven't worked on it. So anyway, it's a design, so I can keep it this way. I can trigger an event wherein it will say, I mean, if at all it's still files, then I would just say in the event window, whenever there are files at the shared drive, I would pull those files to this container, which I would say a landing container. From there, I would, we can set up an event trigger, which will trigger the actual Databricks pipeline. So it will try to process the dumped landing files to the other layers, or it's creating the transformations as such.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, this is fine. Okay. I want to ask you questions on Databricks. Okay. Consider, all these will be Databricks related, the next few questions.
Okay.
So assume, I have a data feed. Okay, you are reading it from maybe a SQL Server, your JDBC in Databricks, and you have created a delta table in assume bronze or silver layer.
Okay.
Have you seen the market files at the backend, how those are created?
I got chance only once in the beginning when I saw the delta table. So I would say there would be one checkpoint and another delta, some folder would be created and the packet files should be there. So I guess there is one checkpoint folder and as well as the some metadata kind of information. I guess that folder is there. So these three, these two folders and the packet files were available at that point.
Yeah, good. So let's say I am updating one single record out of only 10K records. Okay. How do you what change will happen at the back end in the packet files? What will happen?
Okay. This is something I haven't seen. I can guess. So at the packet level, anyway, there will be one checkpoint created again in that folder due to the time travel. That is one thing, and the second one is we just updated the record. So in the metadata information that would be updated as well, and in the packet files, the actual record would be updated. So these three things I can guess. Yeah.
Okay. What happened? Okay, we talked about metadata file, we talked about checkpoint, we talked about packet, but there is one main file which actually helps us to make it as a delta table. What is that file?
Don't remember. Like it's something. The folder itself is there like that.
Yeah, there's a file called delta
log. Delta log. Sorry. Yeah, I didn't remember it. It will.
Okay. What happens for this scenario? What will happen to the delta log file? I just want to understand, whether you get to know the delta, concept of database. That's why I'm asking this.
Yeah. So what I remember was like in the delta log, the history will be updated. So like when the first time only inserts happened, so insert and the records, those information will be there. When the update comes, so when the update happened, so another record or else another history would be maintained, like stating that the record got updated at so and so time interval and all those information. I guess it would be there at the delta log. Yeah. From there only the time travel will be taking place.
Okay, good. Thanks. Okay. See, there are new concepts in Databricks called delta-like tables, delta sharing. Do we have a chance to work on it?
I would. For Delta Live, I did not get a chance to work on. Delta sharing, we did not enable in our environment because there are some VPN constraints. That's what they were saying. So that's where we are providing it in still ADLS container itself in the beginning only, published container. That's what I was saying. Through private endpoints, we couldn't do the delta sharing. So I know that it's a different server wherein we post all the data there, so that it can be shared directly to other outside or I would say different customers or something. But that didn't happen in our case. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. See, okay. One basic question. We talked about delta table. What is external table? Have you heard about it?
Basically, the table which doesn't have, which only has the metadata at the unity level as the, how we can say, the, only the metadata information are involved at the Databricks level, that we call it as an external table, wherein files are being, files will be there, after we delete the table or destroy the table, files will still be there. It's the same old functionality which the HDFS provides, like managed table versus the external table. Like managed is something wherein all the information will be updated at the what we call as the not metadata, but what do you should say? There was another term I forgot it. So it's like a table kind of view. For if it's a managed table, the table data and all everything is within the hold of the Databricks level. But for the external tables, only the metadata will be within the hold of the Databricks level. So in an overview level.
Okay. So now the question, now the coming questions will be on the Azure level. Okay. So I have a scenario where I have a subscription A and I have subscription B.
Okay.
So again, you have Databricks available with you, ADF available with you, maybe some file transfer services from Azure or outside Azure. Okay. Now for subscription B is in, let's say, Europe, subscription A is in North America. Okay. So subscription A want to create files for subscription B. Kind of, they want to create a link. Okay. And so subscription B informed, we have the blob available with us, just land the file. Okay. So now what will you, how will you design this? Is there any easy way to, implement or design this flow?
See, there is one challenge which I have seen before coming to the implementation. When we are moving from one container to another container, like if they are both two different set of how do we say, the storage units itself, or else the storage names, account names, the time taken for the movement itself is sometimes it takes little fast and sometimes it's slow. It takes 4 hours for a 100 GB to 200 GB file. That's what I've seen. So taking that into consideration, what I would do is for creation of a design principle, if they are inside another subscription and these guys in another subscription, first I would one easy solution would be to link the container which they are having in the North American subscription to this second subscription, so that whatever files which you wanted to move, it will be little faster than which would have happened at the first level. So that would be my initial approach. If at all that's a, it may be a faulty one. So if I consider that as a faulty, then there is a second one which I could try, wherein this is the unconventional way wherein we try to dump the files from that North American container to a on-premise file server, which is local or else which is near to the, let's say now it's the B subscription which is in South American container. So that's where the load happens pretty much fast from what we have seen there. So that way we can do. And if at all subscription levels, so yeah, anyway, copy can take place. That is one thing. So yeah, the other way around is yeah. See, the solution is like we can use the copy data tool, give the given that storage container and the target storage container, we can just trigger it and it will run. So how much time it will take, that is the main point. So what we have done is, in our scenario also, we had two nodes for that. Like we used to dump the data onto another local node, which in turn would be acting as an intermediate node for the C point. So A coming to B and then moving to C. That's where we devise a plan. So that's yeah, that's what I have seen, Sagarika.
Okay. Have you heard about what is this concept called trusted services in Azure?
I know about the trusted endpoints, but not on trusted services, basically, maybe.
No, that's fine.
Sorry?
No, that's fine. This is just an option for Azure services. Okay.
Okay. I mean, like, if you're talking about services, I have done trusted endpoints which we are using for the published container. That is one case I can say. Apart from that, yeah.
So I have a few questions on ADF as well. Okay. On Synapse, right?
Okay.
You can consider any of those. So I just want to migrate data from MySQL from network drive once, one time activity. So what would be your immediate solution?
Okay, one time activity. Yeah. Immediate.
No transformation, nothing. Just get the data down. That's it.
Okay. In that case, I would use the copy data tool. It would, in a one case dump, what we do is we have to give the how would I say, the file share details and all, and the endpoint details. When we trigger it, it will ask. We can make sure that it doesn't ask for any metadata. We can keep it as binary for the dataset details and all, so that it only just transfers the data. No any validation as such is involved. So it will dump the data in that way. That way we can see as a one-time activity. Other than that, this one I can see for now. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. The next question or scenario would has. Let's say I'm reading a data source on daily basis or on a certain frequency. Okay. So suddenly there is a new column being added on the source. I want that schema to happen without any job failures.
Okay.
Is there any option in ADF?
In ADF. This one I haven't. Like in Delta table, we have like merge schema option. We can enable it as true, but in ADF, I haven't tried any option. There is any column added?
I'm just checking. Okay. If you're not used to it, that's fine. You can.
Okay.
I can simply ignore this question. Let's move on.
Okay.
Okay. I'll let it put this way. I want this pipeline to fail. In that case, what will you do?
You want that pipeline to fail? Then.
Now.
We can keep the endpoint to fail itself directly. Whatever happens, we can just say inside. If a pipeline has a notebook, then I have the more control structure. Like I can just say exit one and give that activity to the error activity itself. So it will say anyway fail. Or else the other way around is like for success or for failure, I can just tag it the arrow to the error activity, and that way anyway it will fail. That's what I say.
Okay. Okay. Now the third scenario, I just want to skip. That is a delimiter issue in the file. For example, I have 10 columns. So instead of receiving 9 semicolons, which is a delimiter, I had 10 delimiter in only row 100. So I just want to skip that row and load it.
Okay.
How will you design this?
Skip the rows. There is one option Spark as well as in Pandas. Anyway, it's on cloud, so we will anyway have the Pandas Spark and PySpark. So it will have the option of skipping the rows. We can just skip the row, whichever row we wanted. That is one way. Here, yeah, this one I can see, because the other options we don't have that much control nature, and we have to go into the file and see. Yeah, this one. I mean, it will have the feature of not only skipping rows, for failure skip rows, something like that. The term would be there in the reading itself. We can provide that so that it will skip whenever there is a malformed record.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So let's talk about SQL. So how confident before we start this question on SQL?
Confident, I would say like 3.5 out of 5. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I take it as it's strong. Okay.
Okay.
So let's say I have a 5 tables. I'm joining them and getting a result, and API is connecting to the SQL. It could be on-prem or Azure SQL. Okay. And the data is being retrieved on multiple times a day. Okay. Consider this the hit is from UI.
Okay.
So it is to happen, even for a minute, I would say, 2 or 3 times. Or sometimes, if it is early in the day, it could be, even 50 times. Okay. So this was working fine for, this query was working fine initially for 6 months. So later, when the data grows, we see we found the query is beyond 30 seconds, okay, which is my timeout on the UI side. Okay. So how will you solve this problem, or what will be your approach?
Okay. UI side, I mean, what I was seeing when I was interacting with the API developers, they were used to create the stored procedures. That was one way to restrict the UI calls and also the time limited to it. The other one is on the joins. If we are talking about, there may be a number of issues, but ones which I can identify, I mean, the basic general ones, which would be there would be a cardinality issue that we might need to take care using any row number functionality or else grouping nature. That would be one case. The second case would be on the join condition itself. So sometimes the conditions basically takes place on the number. If we take it place on the strings and all, that would be a degrading performance as the database itself. That might be one issue. I mean, I'm just pointing it out. The third one would be like most of the times what an SQL developer tends to do is like using select star basically whenever it's possible to skip the column propagation and all, so that it would be easy for him to get it at the outermost SQL level. So that we might need to avoid it, so that only the limited columns which needed should be brought into the innermost SQL queries, so that when it comes to the outermost part, only the actual column propagation would be there. So that way it will restrict the number of calls to the database level. These are some points which I've seen for the database one. API side, apart from stored procedure creation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mostly, I want to solve this issue on the database side, okay, because there is no issue on AWS or anyway. Okay, I just want to solve it out because there is a similar query on a different database that is working fine. Only this is taking around 90 seconds itself. Which is expected to complete in 1 second or 2 seconds because the result is just 1 record or 2 record.
Result may be 1 or 2, but the joins which happen, the operations which take place, that might take time. So we have to see whatever operations we are doing at join level and all are like one-to-one operations. Like if there is join with 10 to 10 records, 10 to 100 records, only the resultant coming would be 10 to 10 records. Instead of that, if we are getting like 10 to 20, then the operation takes little time and that adds to the complexity itself. So I'm just stating the point.
Okay. Have you heard about execution plan?
Yeah, that's anyway there. When we look at the query, we get the execution plan. Basically nowadays we directly have it whenever we use the query editors. It will be there with the click of the button like FY execution plan. It will show whatever where all the computations are taking place. So I'm talking in a SQL way. It will show what are the logical executions happening. Where, like if at all I've been using like the case clauses, then it will try to convert into if clauses and see what are all the operations required and all what is happening. The time required also it will be showing. So that's where we can try to do the analyze also for that, execute and analyze the plan. So that is one way. Yeah.
Can you use this execution plan and what would be your next step?
After using the execution plan only, I would devise the strategy like basing on the type of operations involved for basic operations like I have previously mentioned. So that is one way of doing for myself whenever I take on the SQL the time challenge. So apart from that, there are multiple ways like analyzing the table wherever required, so that the unused records will be dropped and the table functions fast. That way we can see what are tables. Like if we are seeing that 5 tables are required, so those 5 tables we would try to run the analyze table and with the options for the partitions enable, not partitions, the statistics enable. So we will get new record counts which will be updated. So that way it will try to enforce more further, I would say, computeness, I would say.
Okay, so what is basically an index? You want to explain it now, normal or simple terms?
Index,
right? Yeah, index is in table.
Okay. Something which provides a string. Normal in a table, an index is something which provides an anchor to a particular column whenever it is being created. So the index creates the how would I keep it like one second. They store the information of that particular column values whenever we try to search for that, like whatever we use it at the select star from where clauses. If at all these indexes use the same columns, then the results which come from that are taken from that indexes. So that's where I see the relation between these.
So I did a join and my execution plan states that it's the table scan. So what did you do?
That's where this it is doing a table scan. Then when we apply that index on that table, So whatever joining is taking place on that column, it will take place on that indexed scan value, so that the table will not be scanned, but the index values will be scanned. In that way, the join takes place little, I would say, a lot of faster. Yeah.
So assume I found a primary key and A in a column or in a table A. Sorry, table X, column A. Okay. And I indexed, cluster indexed column A. Now I'm using column B for my joining. This for a separate query. Okay. So what will you do? Will you again create another cluster index?
That is something we cannot create, but what we can do is like, what basically when we are trying to create tables is like, we do is whatever join condition columns or else the where clauses which are applied or else the primary clauses, we directly keep it as a multiple index being created, wherein we give a patch of functions like 1, 2, 3, or else we create multiple indexes or multi-v index, so that in that way, like if you are giving the order in such a way like primary key A, B, then multi-index will be used and multiple indexes, wherein if at all I am using A or B, that way it also be useful. So that's where I have seen both things.
Which database you are referring to?
MPP, this is PostgreSQL's Greenplum database.
Okay. And finally, I want you to choose or order your skill based on the tools between Databricks, with PySpark, then ADF, then SQL. How will you order them?
Okay, ordering, then I will do Databricks, then Python, then SQL, then after that Synapse or ADF. Anyway, those are orchestration tools. Yeah. Apart from
yeah, these are fine. Yeah. So what is your level of experience in each? That's what I want to understand things. So SQL, how long have you been working in SQL?
Like 4 to 5 years, sorry.
So before that, what is the
in Tableau and Power BI.
Okay, so you started your career with Tableau?
Yes, Tableau and Power BI.
Okay. Do you still work on them by chance?
Yeah, sometimes when the data is at the harvest layer, if at all there are some reports which needs to be churned out a little fast, and there is not much business involvement for the metrics. Then on the metric definitions and all, then I directly jump in on the reports.
Okay. Let me give you a scenario. Okay. So I have a goal layer table, not view. Okay. So the first scenario is goal layer table, which gets refreshed every day around 9 p.m. Okay. Now I want to design my Power BI to refresh it around 11 p.m. every day, so that it picks the data from the table. How will you do that?
Okay.
Now, is it possible to do that way?
We have to refresh anyway the data sources. That's what we are doing like every day. We have created some DevOps pipeline. So in that we have given it one is the credentials pipeline for the Power BI data sources, and the other one is the actual Power BI data sources pipeline. Therein we, as of now we are triggering it manually, but at some point we try to trigger them. When we trigger them, it will try to run the scheduled data refresh windows. So that's how we kept it as of now in the organization.
Okay. So does that mean Power BI stores the data, within the Power BI databases, or is it reading every time, from the action source?
If it is an extract, it will create an extract. If it is an how we say a live connection, then it will read it from the data source. So anyway, we are doing a refresh, then it means it's an extract which is being created. So it will be stored at somewhere point at the ADLS level.
Good. Now I'm talking about view. Okay, so view means we read the data. It's not a persistent entity. I have to get the data from the actual the behind
there may be many
tables or yeah. So in that case, let's say now I'm joining 20 tables, which gets refreshed every 1 minute, 5 minutes, based on UI updates. Okay. So how will you design this? Will you go with just say that the people always when the end user is using it, he is always referring to the previous day data, the previous month data, or the previous week's data. In this case, how will you schedule the refresh?
That is one problem which we have seen. What we can do is we can create another table, same batch. So whenever this update is running, another DevOps pipeline, it will detach that data source window and push it to this data source window, so that the data which we are providing would be the up-to-date information at a point where the customer is referencing to. I would keep that way, because some people would like to fetch it live, so wherein we can't keep the extracts enabled, do refresh and all. So this is how one option which I thought of when we were doing like two batch jobs. One would be having the same set of tables. Whatever the updates are being performed would be happen at the first level, first set of tables. If that is completed, until that the second set of tables would be still looking for the Power BI connections.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So yeah, I'm done with my questions. Last thing, between Azure and AWS, if a client is asking you which service shall I go and choose, what will be your response to them? This is not for the interview, just I'd like to hear from.
I would say on what I've seen from my solution architect is there was a pitching call which happened stating that Azure would provide the services at 50% lower cost than AWS. So whatever we see, if at all if the customer is still respecting the cost level things, then yes, he could stay at the AWS level. But if he doesn't want it, and some of the services which they don't use, then we can see that we can shift it to the Azure side directly. So that way, DevOps and all, Azure DevOps is pretty much less cost, and anyway nowadays everyone is using TFS at Azure DevOps. So everything, these services can be switched to Azure. This will be at a lower cost. So that's where I can keep. But some services if I say Glue and all, which has the same functioning as some of the Databricks features with Unity and all, with the added advantage like it has a query builder and all. So that's it. Some variations are there, but yeah, if cost is less, yes, we can go with Azure, or else that's what we have seen. So cost was less, so we incorporated to Azure.
Yeah, and one topic which we not covered is controller. No questions, but is it on a server-based version or a cloud-based version?
It was a server-based version. So what we used to do is before triggering the jobs, we have to update the control M job details and all, then push it to another person. you would be a control name admin, then update the information at this level. I remember there were two windows, one for ours authoring the registering the job name details and all, one for the authoring. So that's how we used to do for controlling. And for autosys anyway, it's a GIL kind of thing. We just need to send the GIL. If the all commands are intact, then it will run and create a job. If there is any failure, basically this is some kind of thing that every organization sees it as a larger failure. Even if our code works fine, but the job should fail. So most of the time people take care that GIL doesn't fail. So that's how they used to take care.
Okay. Nice talking to you. Thanks for your time. Vijay, thanks. Is Vijay?
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.